Hello, good afternoon. This is Lindsay. It is Wednesday, August 6th, 2025, and yeah, so documenting here again about this shall we call it a smear campaign, I guess, since I've already talked about that before, this ongoing bizarre kind of weird stuff that's happening. I'm going to talk about what happened today just because it's just really strange stuff. And people think that, like, whenever they kind of assume that you're not paying attention, right? They think that you might be so stressed out, so overwhelmed, so physically exhausted or mentally exhausted or sleep deprived or anxious or depressed, whatever, that you're not paying attention to things, little subtle things going on around you, right? That's the assumption that people will have in general whenever they're monitoring you or trying to set you up or entrap you for these little things that they do to get your reaction. And I know all this as a targeted individual. So in my stuff with the gym is very directly correlated with what I think is going on. Because I can, I'm not, I don't, or it's really more making more and more sense every day the more I, really analyze and go back and think about things about that have happened and why they happened, and probably, or thinking about why they happened and what made certain people do what they did. Because I tend to analyze things and really try to find out answers, especially when it comes to things about who I am, myself, finding out answers to my own destiny or what happened and why I have, all these unanswered questions about who I am in my life and my past and whatnot, my lineage, my biological parents, things like that. But anyway, so the weird thing, and that I've noticed, because I have noticed, and this is it will probably sound extremely I'm not trying to sound grandiose or delusional or arrogant, because that's not my personality at all. And I'm not that's not how I am as a person. But when I'm fighting for something, fighting for answers about the truth or whatever, then I can be extremely combative with my words and come off as being really arrogant and angry, because I get angry whenever I'm being lied to. Imagine yourself in a situation where you know that something's going on behind your back that people are doing, but you're the one not being told the whole truth about something that's important and that has to do with your life and that has to do with your everything about you. So imagine how frustrating that is. For example, when you're misdiagnosed, right? I don't need to keep saying right, but I'm trying to get my point across. For example, when they use the psychiatric system against a person to give a false diagnosis that might not fit who you are, or that, because of certain situations, under the certain situations, they give you a certain diagnosis that doesn't pertain to how you are now, because people, believe it or not, they do change, and they do change. People adapt. This is all, like, a lot of the stuff that they do, because psychologists know this. When they're these behavior modification people working for the government and the CIA and these top level alphabet agencies, they know all about the human mind. They've studied all that stuff, and they know how what they expect are certain reactions from people when they're placed under so much stress and pressure. I myself have studied anthropology, I studied psychology, and I've studied sociology. I have a college degree. I've taken classes in all this stuff years ago, and I continuously study things about the mind and about behavior and about abnormal psychology. So it's not like and I can pick up on patterns in things and kind of predict certain things according to, like, it just kind of happens naturally. But a lot of what goes on when you're targeted is people say, well, why would you be a targeted individual? Why do they target anybody? They can target you for various reasons, but usually it's something that has to do with 9 out of 10 times the reason people become a targeted individual is simply because you made the wrong people angry, or you retaliated against their conformed system, and you're not like that, and you do your own thing, and you think in a different kind of way that's not so linear. You're more on a path that's kind of all over the place, right? You don't do things in a linear way where it's so expected. You know, what? Yeah, I mean, you probably have discipline. Like, I have a lot of discipline, but I tend to also do things like I can change my patterns around. And whenever you start changing your pattern and you become less predictable, then that throws them off, and they get angry because these people spend the private sector in the government and these corporations. There's not really a limited amount of money that they can spend on people, because depending on how much you're worth as a targeted individual, how much your assets are worth, or whatever because you're just a commodity to these people. You're seen as a commodity. Okay, and another thing, you can be assured that the reason that you're being targeted, if you're a legit targeted individual, and there are definitely a lot of people out there, more and more every day get on this list as targeted individuals, but it's usually because of somebody unbeknownst to you has put you on some kind of a life, and maybe you're a life insurance. There's some kind of a life insurance policy out on you that you're not aware of, or maybe maybe you're the beneficiary of something that they don't want you to know about, because you never know. There's various reasons, but usually I would say 99% of the time it's financially motivated. These things, it's usually financially motivated, because they're not going to really take much interest in a person unless there's some kind of financial gain, or unless that person has some kind of money or wealth attached to their name that they might not even be aware of, or that they don't have access to. And these things are common, especially when you've been given some kind of diagnosis of which they think that you are not capable of handling or controlling your own affairs. And that's all erroneous, because they inflict so much trauma, induced trauma and paranoia on the targeted person's life, that these little disasters that happen, these little chaotic things that happen over and over again, that's not normal. That's abnormal stuff, and they're doing it on purpose to throw you off your path, and to try to distract you, and to try to get you so that you die. As fucked up as that says, pardon my language, these people don't really have any empathy. They don't care if you die. They want you to die. They don't like you. They don't like me, and I'm aware of that. I know that I've got a lot of haters out there, and you know what? Fuck it. As long as you have faith in yourself and faith in your inner powers and your inner soul, and a few maybe people who support you, or a few associates, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's family or not. Usually targeted individuals don't have any family support. The majority of the real outspoken whistleblowers don't have much family support at all. As a matter of fact, they've all turned against them, and usually the family are one of the main reasons why they're targeted in the first place, because it has to do with some kind of a family dispute, usually inheritance or something along those lines. So, and I know, because I speak from my own experience, and if you've watched a lot of my videos, I rant and rave and ramble about this stuff. Usually my tone of voice changes depending on what's happened. I get, and that's all done by design too. They want you to feel so like you're going to have a heart attack or panic attack, and so you want to hurry up and talk about it because you're so overwhelmed, and you want to make sure that you document it. And so you might sound really crazy, talking really fast and so angry, because you want to make, like in my case, I want to make sure that I say it before I forget it. I want to make sure, because you can't go around filming people with your cell phone. You'll get killed. Somebody's going to turn around and take a gun and shoot you. or you can't take photographs of people that are gang stalking you in a public place, because once again, they could turn around and call the police on you or pull out a weapon and hurt you. You never know. You don't know who these people are. You don't know what they might have in their bag or backpack. You never know. Because in the past, I would get so severely harassed by certain individuals who I didn't even know at the Gold's Gym. First of all, mostly the harassment started a lot when I first got to San Antonio, which was in 2016, early 2016, February of 2016. So I haven't even been here 10 years, but I feel like I've been here for 20 years or longer. But however, when I first started going to a certain gym, Gold's Gym, that was over in the south side on Zarzamora and Southwest Military, I noticed a lot of bizarre things were happening to me. And this was when I first found the Gold's Gym, and I was excited that I finally found, I was like, okay, finally I found the fucking gym that it's not that far away. I found the gym that had the machines that I liked, and I was happy. Okay, and then of course all of a sudden I get targeted. They start doing all kinds of shit to gang stalk and harass me, to try to distract me and doing their petty little stupid things that they did to target me. And the more you ignore it, which I did, the more they retaliate and get angry and act out. And so eventually that gym, of course, what happens? They get rid of the treadmills. Once again, to punish me, knowing that I like those machines and what the trouble that I had gone through just to find a certain kind of treadmill, they have to make sure to punish me, the one who didn't do anything wrong, and get rid of all those fucking incline free motion treadmills, right? And this is called corporate harassment. And people don't understand. People are like, whoa, you don't know what you're talking about. They just did that. But no, they don't. They targeted me for these reasons. I can assure you that they will do that. They didn't just get rid of those machines. They did the same thing at the fucking Crossroads location. All of a sudden, after I start going there for a little bit of time, they get rid of all the incline treadmills, just like they fucking did at the Goliad location. They get rid of all the fucking incline free motion treadmills, right? Knowing that, oh, this girl is so crazy, she's going to run all over the fucking city looking for a treadmill like that because she's that's what they use to diagnose you as being crazy, or she's, that's one of the things that they know. Anything that you like, anything that you enjoy doing, that you really enjoy doing, they're going to make sure, or they try to make sure that they take that away from you as a little fucking punishment by corporate sponsored espionage, vigilante stalking, these contract stalkers. They're contract stalkers. Usually they're what they call rent-a-cop, or they're not really full sworn on police officers, but they're private they're basically working for some corporation as private investigators to go out and harass and stalk and monitor individuals who are deemed as misfits in the community, who are not properly conforming to whatever fucking standards at the gym you're supposed. Excuse me. Oh, so I don't go around in a little skimpy tank top and showing my cleavage, so therefore I get targeted because I don't look like a prostitute. So they'll target you if you don't look the right way. At Gold's Gym, I've come to realize that at certain locations, it's basically like a fucking human trafficking, sex trafficking, undercover, some weird shit going on at these places where it's like, well, if you pay close attention to the way women dress and things that go on there and the way people behave and the fucking odor of marijuana all over the place, I wonder why that is. Is there something going on here? Maybe some money laundering or some kind of something that's a shell company that they're doing stuff illegally and assuming that people aren't going to pick up on that, or that I've been going there long enough to see these things witness it. I'm just saying these gyms and these corporations and there's usually some kind of weird stuff going on behind the scenes with a lot of these businesses, especially gyms. And it could be any kind of retail store. They call them front companies or shell companies. And I'm not saying, Gold's Gym has a good reputation, but notice how a lot of them have closed down. A lot of Gold's Gyms in San Antonio have closed down all of a sudden. Why is that? Because people are blowing the whistle on the shit that goes on there. It's like, and the reason a lot of these things are happening are because of the surveillance cameras. Okay, the people these voyeuristic people who are watching you with the fucking surveillance cameras. I don't know what outfit company they're with or whatever, but they're watching, and some of these people are very demented and perverted, and they get obsessed with, and then they might get obsessed with stalking a certain individual based on weird stuff. You never know. And there's also hidden cameras. I know that for a fact because I can feel the fact that you're being watched when you're in the locker room changing clothes or going to the bathroom. You can feel it. I can feel it. I know that I'm being watched in illegal ways. It's obvious, and it's like that's very uncomfortable, but these people put hidden cameras all over the place in these kinds of places. So you always need to be aware. I've always had the mentality that I don't care where I am, I'm always just under the assumption that I'm being watched, whether it be by God, which is fine with me, but you just keep in mind that pretty much nowadays, in this day and age, it's either satellite surveillance technology called Navstar that spies on you, or hidden cameras. They're everywhere, and your own house is probably filled with them without you even knowing. Like in my case, there's definitely hidden surveillance cameras in this house that I live in where I have no idea where they are, but I know that I know that there's one in the bathroom that I think I covered it up. I think I figured out, I've always suspected that there was something weird with that plug outlet, so I covered it up. And now it's like I've noticed that ever since I did that, a lot of weird things are happening too. Who in the fucking world would want to be monitored in the privacy of your bathroom? Think about it. Why would anybody give anybody permission to spy on you illegally with a hidden camera in your bathroom, unless you're some kind of a real nutcase weirdo? I never gave anybody permission to do that, and I don't know who the fuck is responsible for that. But all these things that people think they can get away with, as far as this illegal surveillance and voyeuristic perverted stuff, hidden cameras in your rooms, bathrooms, if you live in a house or I can guarantee you that if you live in a rented assisted living, or if you live in some kind of Section 8 housing, there's hidden cameras in your house all over that you don't know about. They will do that to you because they want to constantly monitor people. They do that. This is a government doing that, but they lie under, a lie under omission and plausible deniability. But these people do that. You don't ever whenever you let somebody in your house who's doing some kind of a repair, or like a plumber, an electrician, whatever, watch them. Don't, pay close attention, because a lot of these people are contracted by the government as well to put hidden some kind of weird something device in your house. So you have to kind of keep an eye out on those people too if you don't know them. Just anybody who's a stranger, you don't want them in your house, because that's your sacred territory. That's your privacy, and nobody has a right to violate what's yours sacred, like your sacred area. It's like a violation of your boundaries. But the government now, of course, will go to any length to do that to people, especially if there's a lawsuit going on, or a probate case, or you're being accused of something, or court. They'll do it for all kinds of reasons, and you never know who the motherfucker is behind that, doing that. Pardon my language, but in my case, I know who the main perpetrators are in my situation. It's my own sibling, half sibling, and my mother, and other people in her family, because of the fucking inheritance and money that they don't want me to know about. And I can guarantee you that that's exactly why the fuck they're doing this to me. It's pretty obvious, and them not wanting me to know who I am. Them not wanting me to know who I really am, as far as like my biological father. That's what's going on, and it's like, whatever. And I already figured it out that she lied. She lied to me about who my father is and all that. And so they'll never admit to the truth, because they're too fucking arrogant and proud to admit that they ever did anything wrong, except you as a scapegoat child of a narcissistic parent or parents are going to be the walking apology. You're always supposed to apologize for what they did. You're the mistake. You're the mistake of what they did, but it's your fault. No, it's not. If you're the child, and I've talked about this before, but let me reiterate. If you're the unfortunate person who was born under circumstances such as adultery, or son of, they call it the curse of the bastard in the Bible, or a wedlock, born out of wedlock, which nowadays that's so common. But still, there's a lot of people there, a lot of people have these situations where they were born, they don't know who their biological family is or father or whatever, but it's much more common. But there's always going to be that stigma, and people will start asking you questions. Like, you'll notice that, like, you get treated, you might have a great job, you're doing well, you think you're doing well, you think that you have some friends or whatever, and then all of a sudden they all turn against you. Within a couple months at that job, everybody they stop talking to you. They start giving you dirty looks. And you're thinking, what's going on here? Yesterday we were friends and we were talking, and now today you're giving me dirty looks and acting like you don't even know me. These are things that are very common whenever these people find out little things about you, about your past. And I just fucking talk about it. I don't care. I talk about my past because I'm not really ashamed of it anymore. I'm ashamed of things that I did, but I realize that was a mistake, and I deserve forgiveness. And I don't really think that what I did was worthy of, like, treating me like I'm some kind of a fucking criminal, as far as, like, things from 25 years ago being filmed, by perverts and being too trusting towards the wrong people. That's all my biggest mistake was, and being too trusting to get myself in these situations where people take advantage of your vulnerabilities and film you or do things, and God knows what they do with that. You know what I mean? Because you need some money. You're desperate for some money. That's what happened to me. Desperate for some money, not wanting to have to move back to Houston. So being vulnerable, thinking that, okay, this will help me get a job or get some money in the meantime while I find something else, only to get in a trap that can ruin your life, because these kinds of things are floating around the internet. And with me, it was not that big. I was filmed, but I wasn't doing anything that was that horrible. It's not like I was a fucking porno star or doing porno. God forbid, I would never do that. That's disgusting. I didn't do that. And there are a lot of people nowadays. Notice how people, if you meet them on a dating site or whatever, it doesn't even matter. They send these selfies of themselves nude, or they'll send you a picture of if it's a man, he'll send you a picture of his penis sometimes, or women will send topless. People just have no filters. They don't care. It's like, do they not realize that those pictures and those things that are floating, or that somebody's going to get a hold of that, and it's going to haunt you at some phase in your life later on, if you're going around sending pictures of your dick to women you don't know on the internet because you're desperate for sex. And a lot of men do that. I've countless men will send me pictures of their penis on these days. It's like, I didn't ask you to send that. I don't even want to see that. Don't send me that, please. But they'll do it anyway. Or that's just an example. So people don't seem to have any, and that's kind of that's harassment. That's sexual harassment. When you don't want to see something like that, and somebody's sending you something like that on your phone, and then it becomes, especially on WhatsApp, then you have to fucking delete it, and then it becomes part of your file, and then you'll realize a couple weeks later you've got some picture of something that they sent you that you have to delete from your saved files that you didn't even know was there, or something. That's just an example. So don't let people never, they'll do anything. Some people are just trying to entrap you, get you in trouble, or make you look like somebody who you're not, because they are the perpetrators. So these kinds of things happen all the time, obviously. But the more experience you have with these kinds of narcissistic, psychopath type people, the more you realize you really just can't trust people, most people. But back to what happened at the gym. I know I went off on a tangent, but at the gym today, I went to the one on out west, way out that direction, opposite to the one in the east. And this is just okay. There's this one. I was on the treadmill, happy to be there because I enjoy exercising, working out makes me feel better mentally and physically and all that. So it's something I enjoy doing, working out or getting on doing that. I really enjoy it. And I get there, I'm on the treadmill, doing my workout. And I noticed within about 20 minutes, and I got there around 8:13 or so in the morning, this morning. I noticed that I see this guy walk in, and it's like, okay, that's Vincent. That's Vince. That I recognize him because I recognize his ball cap. I recognize the way he was walking. I was like, that's that dude, the man who was a manager at the one at Walsham in 78. I know, I can recognize him. I see that that's that guy, Vincent, or whatever his name is. I'm almost 100% sure it was him. And he was walking in there really fast on his phone, talking on his phone. And I saw his tattoos, and he had on a baseball cap and all that. And I was like, okay, I'm almost 100% sure that's who that is. It certainly looked like him. And then I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And then I noticed that 20 minutes later, he's walking out the door again, once again on his phone. I'm like, okay, whatever. And like I said, he was a manager of the one at Walsham in 78. And I recently did a bad review for that location with their little questionnaire. I did not do a good review at all. And I complained about some things, and because it's what I was saying was the truth. And so then, and supposedly from what they told me at that location is that he was going to start on August 1st at being the manager at the location at Live Oak. Live Oak, which is off Pat Booker, whatever, over there off 35 North. And I'm like, oh, okay, so he's not going to be here anymore. And I said, who's going to be the new manager? And they told me some girl named Natalie. I said, who's Natalie? I don't know. I'm just curious, who's Natalie? And Natalie is supposedly the manager now at the Gold's Gym on Walsham in 78. And I think I've seen who the woman is, but I've never talked to her. So whatever, but I've noticed that they're always changing, these gyms are constantly changing the staff around. But another thing that I noticed today, because when I was at the Goliad location not too long ago, I was talking to somebody at the front desk. I said, well, where's Matthew, the manager who used to be here, that manager, Matthew, who used to be here? And he said, oh, he went, and this was a new guy at the front desk. I had never, all these people are new. Mostly at that they seem to be new employees. I don't know these people at all. He said that he went over to the quarry. He's now over at the quarry. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I don't go to the quarry location. I've been there a couple times. It's over there off of 281 North over in that, it's called the Quarry Market or something. I've been there a couple times, but it's just a few. I don't really go to that location much. I've been to a lot of them, but not that one. I mean, I have been to that one, but I don't go there frequently. And so supposedly he was at the quarry. But then today I noticed as I was on the elliptical, and I did have a conversation with this woman who I've seen her there a lot. I used to see her there a lot. She asked me, she said something like, she said, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Have you been on vacation? I said, I wish. I said, no, I've just been going to a different, because I had to take my headphones off because I could, I can't hear what I took my headphones off and I was having a conversation. She's a nice, friendly, she seemed nice, and I've seen her there many a times. I recognize her. And so she said, I haven't seen you in a long time. Have you been on vacation? And I said, no, I said, I wish. I just have been going to some different locations. And she said, where do you live? What area? And I said, I live way out, out east side. And she said, over by Kirby or Shirts or something. I said, no, not that far east. And she said, oh, I just live a couple miles away, and my husband and I have an insurance company, a life insurance company, and I work from home or something. And I said, oh, and she said, mostly with retired teachers or something. I said, oh, that's interesting. And I said, and she asked me my name, we introduced ourselves. I got her, she told me her name was Judy. And I told her my name, and so that was that. And I just had a brief little conversation with her. And she commented something about I looked more lean or something, or that I've lost weight. I look lean. I said, I don't know about that. She said, what are you doing different? I said, I don't know. I think it's just stress. But I was like, sometimes those kinds of questions, I don't know how to answer questions like that because people's body fluctuates. Mine does, but I've been doing a few things different, but I don't like to talk about my personal that's none of anybody's business. I don't go around advertising what I eat and what I do. It's nobody's business. But she was a nice lady, friendly enough, and so that happened. But then as I was on the elliptical machine, and I had on a different pair of, usually I wear this Pop Fit brand of leggings, and the thing with those is they're real uncomfortable. Like sometimes they're not very comfortable. Like they're really, like, so I don't know. I sometimes occasionally I'll wear a different brand that's more just different. It's more cotton feeling, it's more spandex, but it has more cotton, and it just feels better. You can move better in them and whatnot. And it's called Life Sky brand that I got off Amazon, and I had those on, and I love those. Feel great. They feel really comfortable. But the thing is they're not as thick material as those Pop Fit, which I like, but they're so thick and like so. They don't fit well. They fit, but they're just kind of like, it's a weird kind of fit in a way. Some of them, they're not very comfortable for really being able to move that much. It's something about them is almost like too restricting, I think. And I have kind of muscular legs and thick calves, and it's like I'm not a scrawny. I'm not a scrawny, skinny person at all. I'm more stout and kind of short, if you know what I mean. I'm not like a long, lean person with really thin legs. And so it's like, I think some of these leggings for women are made for women that are like 6 feet tall, that have like skinny legs, and I don't fit that category. I'm very just not who I am. It's not my body type. So finding the right kinds of leggings for the gym or appropriate gym attire is always a challenge as well, depending on your body type. And if it were up to me, I'd be wearing my shorts, like my Nike little running shorts, but that feels a little bit inappropriate sometimes. I feel a little bit like exposing myself too much if I'm wearing little shorts. So I'm very modest. I don't like to show my body. I just like to be, I don't like that. I just like to, that's just not who I am. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with wearing those shorts, but maybe if I'm running around in the yard, but at the gym, I feel a little bit kind of weird sometimes because it's treadmills. Nonetheless, it's like I'm not a 15-year-old at summer camp, but they are comfortable. They are comfortable shorts, but I don't think I look good wearing shorts like that at my age. I just don't feel like I look I feel kind of not dressed. I feel like I'm naked almost, or a child. And it's just kind of weird because it's like, then I start feeling like I'm in 5th or 6th grade back at Camp Mystic with my plastic shorts on or something, and I don't really, and then my mind starts doing all that trigger shit, and I don't really want to go back to my childhood necessarily, but sometimes I feel like a child depending on what I'm wearing. Or too young, too youthful, because you get excited. The thing with exercise is it's an addiction because your heart goes pounding, you get excited, you're enjoying the workout, and so you get so in the moment. With me, I get so into it, the moment and how it feels and all that I just kind of forget about everything going on around me. And I don't let things distract me. I try not to, because I'm so intensively into what I'm doing. When it comes to these machines that I like, these cardio machines, like the elliptical and the treadmill, for example. Sometimes a Stairmaster, not too big on that, but here and there sometimes. But and I noticed that they had some different machines, they changed some stuff around at that gym. I had a good day there today. I actually, I enjoy going there. I like it. It's a little far away, but I enjoy that location more than all of them for whatever reason. I just feel the atmosphere is more positive, not so, something about it, I feel more comfortable there. Yeah, anyway, so then what else happened? So yeah, and then I'm on the elliptical machine, and I noticed this guy walk by, and I'm like, that's Matt. Then I noticed Matthew, the manager who used to be the manager at the Goliad location. I saw him in his Gold's Gym uniform. I'm like, that's Matthew. I recognize him, but his hair was longer. It is like, what the fuck? Because I thought he was, and he was with a bunch of other employees walking into that cardio cinema area. And I'm like, well, doesn't Matthew, supposedly he's over now manager at the quarry, so what is he doing here? Interesting. And then when I first got there, I noticed that the cleaning ladies, they've hired some new woman who's been there for a few months. And she had on like a peach colored bow in her hair, and she had on like a turquoise shirt, and she's friendly. I mean, I get a good feel. Has a good vibe about her. She was there, and then the other woman, her name is Lily, who I used to be there, and I guess she was there too today, maybe training that lady or whatever. She still works there, they work together, but she was there, and she had on a sleeveless tank top kind of shirt with an American flag on it, and she seemed like she was really happy. She was in a real good mood and really happy about something, and I was like, that's cool. She seems like she's happy and doing well, and that's good. I mean, I'm happy for her, but she seemed like she was real excited about something, which I don't know, but she was happy and seemed excited. So I don't know. It's just a different vibe altogether, because at the other place, like, these cleaning ladies were happy. They were happy, and they seemed happy, like they wanted to be there, but at the other one, I don't think that lady, sometimes it doesn't seem like she seems really angry sometimes to be there. Maybe I don't know what's going on. I'm saying that I notice, I can pick up on their energies. Whenever you go to a place and you're there every day and you're around the same people, you can pick up on their energies and feel, maybe something's going on with her. You never know. I don't know, because I don't know them all that well, but I can feel with certain individuals that something might be going on with them, or something, the sadness or the anger or the frustration or the happiness. I can pick up on all those things, because I can feel people's energies where in public easily. But yeah, so that happened today, and that's all. It was just kind of strange, because I don't know. I mean, it's a completely different vibe or atmosphere than the one on the east side. Like night and day. These gyms, they all have their personalities, or they're differently. It's like they're all very different. When you start going to one of them and you've been there for a few months and you try it out for 6 months, 4 months, you'll see that they all have distinctive personality types that it's very weird. I don't know how to describe it, but it's all about geographic location as well, depending on what direction of town you're in, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. So that's all.